Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to ride some new single track by exploring the off-piste lines around Haldon Forest on the edge of Dartmoor. The plan is to ride a short way on some of the marked trails, connecting them up with some of the amazing off-piste descent lines. So today we're going to cover some serious mileage, uncover some technically challenging lines, and just generally enjoy a day riding in the sun. So let's get straight down to business. To start with, I dropped into one of the flatter, easier off-piste lines to have a bit of a warm-up.
So this is one of the shorter off-piste sections here in the forest. Let's give it a go. It's nice and dry.
Because my bike's been out of action for the last couple of weeks, starting on this easier line is a great way to dial back into riding again.
Oh, a few roots there. Oh, this is nice. Really loamy. So green and nice out here.
Riding this section, you'd be surprised at how rusty you feel after just a couple of weeks without riding your bike. I'm also breathing pretty heavily, so it's obvious to see that my fitness has taken a bit of a pounding too.
I'm so lucky to have this on my doorstep. Oh, a few rocks. There it is. Take those off.
With one of the easier lines out of the way, I carried straight onto the more technical sections further down the valley. These are in the tight woodland and contain plenty of routes and sections that are harder to manoeuvre. They start off slow and technical and get faster as you move your way through the forest.
Oh, a bit of pedalling through the tight trees. Ooh, just caught my handlebars on that tree there, that was lucky.
There are so many off-piste lines here in the forest, simply going for a ride and looking around is a great way to find them. They're awesome to test your riding skills because you never quite know what's coming next.
Oh, this is really technical, lots of ruts and roots. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
It was great to be out in the forest with what felt like no one for miles around. However, when I stopped and listened carefully to the sound of the birds, I couldn't help but sense that something wasn't quite right. There was a faint noise that didn't belong in the forest. But where was it coming from? It quickly became apparent that sitting unused for the last few weeks in lockdown, my bike wasn't feeling at its best. And soon the brakes didn't seem to be working at all.
That's really bad. Doesn't sound good at all. So it looks like I'm going to have to cut today's ride short because my front brake just isn't working at all. What we'll do is take it home, strip it down, see what we can do.
I reluctantly retreated from the trail with my tail between my legs to go and investigate what was going on. I was keen to get this sorted so I could get back out onto the trails as soon as possible and continue my ride.
Well, the state of this might explain a few things.
It appeared that my front brake caliper had leaked some oil which was causing problems. So I needed to break out the big guns and work late into the evening. Time for a fixing montage. So with the maintenance done, it was time to get back on the trails.
So we are back at the trails for round 2. So last night I took my brakes apart completely. I cleaned the discs, I cleaned the pads, I scuffed them up a bit, realigned the calipers, put it all back together. So hopefully today they should work flawlessly. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, much better. The sound of silence.
With a working brake, I dropped into one of the top sections.
So this lumpy and rooty trail was used as part of the Enduro a couple of months back.
The first part of the trail has a lot of roots and ruts, but it's fairly flat in this upper section. I thought it was a good idea to start on something like this to test my brakes before hitting the steeper lines. Many of these trails haven't seen a whole lot of action over the last couple of months due to the whole country being on lockdown. Perhaps just a few local riders. They've certainly dried out a lot since I was here last time.
Oh, it's a bit bone shaking on the hardtail.
Although this section is still relatively flat compared to most, it's filled with rocks, bumps and roots. So you need to keep on the pedals to maintain your speed and focus on the trail to ensure you're making the correct line choices and avoiding obstacles. There are a few places where even easy trails can catch you out. Once I was happy that my brakes were working properly, I headed for some of the more interesting trails.
Drop it in. Oh, a bit of a rooty rock garden here. Christ alive. Oh, don't dab.
The bottom of this trail gets pretty rough on a hardtail. You can see how much the bike is shaking around and how hard I have to work to control it. Even my GoPro Hero 8 with Hypersmooth 2.0 is struggling to keep up with the bumps in places.
Yeah, bit of speed now.
You can really tell that these trails don't get ridden anywhere near as much as the marked tracks. I like the fact that they're a bit rough and ready and a bit less polished than your typical trail centre trails.
Delightful.
The network of off-piste trails here crisscrosses the main graded trail routes in many places, so if you know where you're going, you can jump on and off the main trail lines to find the hidden gems of single track. This way, you can really make the most of everything the forest has to offer. Once I'd gotten my fill of all the technical off-piste trails, I couldn't resist finishing up the session by riding my favourite part of the marked Blue Flow Trail.
Time for a bit of speed.
After spending the last few weeks on lockdown and unable to get to any trails, it was great to be able to get back in the action again. Despite the slight mechanical issue, I had an amazing time riding and can't wait to explore plenty more trails over the summer. I hope you enjoyed being back on the trails with me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's free after all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.